Mr. Reynolds said, I'm Renee Burton, Senior Planner for the City of Danville, and I serve as staff for the Commission of Architectural Review. As part of those duties, I've also been charged with working with this RFP 1415-119, which of course sounds mighty vague. But this is an architectural services RFP. What we have done, the DRHA now within their possession has 25 residential properties within the Old West End boundaries. These properties we have taken and divided between 6 different architectural firms. These firms are tasked with the project to look at the properties, evaluate the structure, evaluate the land and the area surrounding it, create an architectural plan with elevations, new floor plans to create what we term a marketing packet. Something that can give a new prospective owner the vision of what this can be. It may be boarded up now, but it can be returned to its glory and reused and be a vital part of the community. So that is what we are working on right now. Could you hit that next one? The 25 properties that we have are highlighted here, and there is a map on the back table for you as well if you'd like more information. Currently, the architectural firms all have been in the properties, have measured the properties, and are working on plans. We have received our first set of review in the early submittals to look at the floor plans and elevations to determine that we were all on the same page and that we're moving in a positive direction. As of right now, we are, and we hope to have many submittals. We have one that has been final submission already. We hope to have the majority of them submitted by the end of the year. Once those are submitted, our goal is to take those documents, create a new website specifically for marketing these wonderful properties to those that are in the area, those that may be across country, those that may be on the other side of the world, to show the glory that we have here in the architectural inventory. Those will be developed, I hope, by the end of the year, like I said, with the new website coming up at the 1st of 2016. Once some more information on that is available, I'll make sure that you get that website so that you can see that. After that, I just wanted to touch briefly on the Commission of Architectural Review. Mr. Reynolds mentioned this earlier, and I believe most of you are probably aware of this commission. Being located within the local overlay district of the Old West End Historic District does put any changes that are done on the exterior of the property and visible from the right-of-way within the Commission of Architectural Review's purview, meaning that if you are to make a change, it does need to go before the Commission of Architectural Review to receive a certificate of appropriateness prior to that change. This commission is a 7-member commission. They serve on a volunteer basis and are actually appointed by City Council. They meet on a monthly basis. They have a set of design guidelines that govern them, and there are several copies on the back if you'd like a copy to take home. Are they all gone? There were several copies, but it's good. Then you're taking them home. But the copy is also available on the Commission of Architecture Review's website, so you can view it there as well. The guidelines are new. These guidelines were just put into place at the end of last year. What the new guidelines do, they do allow some more flexibility than what we had in the old guidelines, which were created in the 80s. They do mention some new updates as far as technology, substitute materials, being able to change materials on structures, and they do allow what's called a 2-part vote process now. The Commission has the ability to vote once on your application to determine whether or not it meets the design guidelines. The second vote is to determine whether or not your application would have an adverse effect on either the structure or the district. So your project could not meet the guidelines, but then be determined that it does not have an adverse effect on either the structure or the district as a whole, and still receive approval for a certificate of appropriateness. This allows flexibility that maybe you have a metal roof. It's been leaking for years. You have a quote of $50,000 to replace this roof. That might not be feasible for all. But you may be able to put a shingle roof on, architectural shingles, and do that for $20,000. This may allow that flexibility, or at least the opportunity for you to bring that application before the Commission so that it can be reviewed individually on a case-by-case basis. Prior to, this was not even something that could have been considered.
I'm Karen Black. I'm the Chief Public Works Engineer for the City of Danville. Public Works we are under Public Works, so the director of that is Rick Drzenovich. I have our contact information up here. Brian Donovan is the city engineer, and he could not make it today, so he sent me in his place. I'm here to talk about the infrastructure of the Old West End District, not only what's under Public Works, but also some of what's under Utilities Department as well. Some of the things that Public Works does that you may not know: we design our streets, we do the new streets, reconstruction of streets, and streetscapes. Probably most of you are familiar with the River District streetscape projects that we have on Main Street, the fountain, what's going on Craighead Street. Public Works has done primarily most of that work. We also take care of flooding and erosion control. We do a lot of storm drainage projects, such as on Riverside Drive and also on Craighead Street. Right now, if you've noticed, is blocked off. It's because we are upgrading that storm sewer. We determined it was about at half of the capacity it should be, so we are upgrading that line. And it'll take a few months to get that up and running, but once that's done, we should not have near the problems of flooding on Craighead Street when it rains. We also take care of traffic. We determine if there are traffic lights necessary. We determine speed limits, things of that nature. We also do a lot of site development, like the parking lots at the community market, at the downtowner site. We work on the trails. And then we also work on the sanitary sewer system, which is everyone's favorite topic. If you could go back one more. One of the projects we've done recently in your neighborhood is the Broad Street brick sidewalk restoration. We had some complaints that the brick was decaying, it was falling apart, and people were having a lot of trouble walking down that street. So we salvaged what we could, and we consolidated that in the front portion of the sidewalk up by Main Street, and then we installed new brick pavers as best we could to match for the remainder of that stretch. Go on. Another thing that Public Works does is we are in charge of maintaining all of the Public Works GIS for our infrastructure. So I pulled out the payment history for your neighborhood so you could see about when your streets have been paved. Typically, we try to get 20 to 30 years out of a pavement. So the yellow lines or the gold lines are the ones that have been paved in the last 5 years. The red are the ones that are pre-2000, and the white are the ones that have no data to it. But I mean, some of them are aging, but each year we rate the streets and we determine which ones are in most need of repaving. Then we take the money that VDOT gives us and prioritize which streets need to be paved first. So right now it's not in such bad shape, but I mean, we will be looking at that. Sanitary sewer. In a neighborhood of this age, all properties and all houses should be served by sewer. We do have in Public Works sewer crews who flush the systems about every 2 years, and they also camera these lines. When they camera these lines, they take videos and they note any kind of cracks, tree roots, things of that nature, and if they find major deficiencies, they try to flag that for potential future projects. As of right now, I don't know of any major problems with any of these lines. So right now we don't have anything proposed. Fiber is not under Public Works. It is utilities, but this is a location of where all of the lines are in your area. And as of this time, I don't know of anything that is proposed. Moving on to the water and gas, those utilities are also under the Utility Department, not Public Works. You might be aware that for the last 20 years, the Water and Gas Department has been upgrading their facilities by about a year-to-year basis. Right now, they are just starting to design their Phase 16. And in Phase 16, this area is slated to have some gas improvements done to their lines. I've broken it up. The project, it's phase 16, but there are 7 subphases in that project. So beginning next summer with their phase 1, they're going to begin closer down to Memorial Drive. But phase 2 will be the Holbrook area and around the museum. Their phase 4 will be Chestnut and Jefferson. Phase 6 will be a good portion of the area. And phase 7, they'll be upgrading the lines in Main Street. So hopefully there will be some improvements starting next summer on that utility. Storm sewer. Right now this is a map just showing the location of all the storm sewer that we know of. We are aware there is a storm drainage issue behind Pine Street. Up until recently this was entirely a private line. Now it is becoming it's more public, so we are going to start looking at a potential project in this area, but as of right now there is no funding for it. We're just beginning that process. But the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is something called Fix It Danville that I'm not sure how many people are aware of. On the city's website at the bottom there is an app called Fix It Danville. This is for any citizen to report problems, minor problems that they see around town. Because I know, you know, everybody and myself included, you drive around and you grumble that, oh, that street light's been out for 6 weeks. Nobody's, you know, changed it yet. Well, I mean, a lot of the time it's just because they don't know. You know, they don't have people riding up and down the streets all the time looking for broken potholes. They need people to call in and let them know some of these places. So this is a good place to start. Just click one more. I've actually used it myself a couple of times as a private citizen for a street light, but also there was a sprinkler problem at the soccer fields at Dan Daniel. I'm a city employee for 18 years and I don't know who to call to get it done. So you can enter in right here, you put in the address, you put in your email, and it gets recorded. It not only gets to the right person, but it also gets in our CityWorks work order system. So there is a record that it was a problem and it's tracked forever and ever. And once it's complete, you will get an email response saying that yes, it has been fixed. So, and then just one other thing with that. If everyone starts coming in, you know, and tomorrow I see there's, you know, 100 different problems in your area, just because it's on there doesn't necessarily mean we can fix it. I mean, sometimes some issues are a bigger problem than we might have money for. But if we see a lot of problems within a certain area, like a big stretch of sidewalk that needs replacing, we might be able to budget in the next fiscal year, you know, a good project for that. So just using this and letting us know what issues you have, that's a good resource for us to begin looking at potential projects in the next few years.
I'm Tommy Merricks. I'm the captain of the Community Police Division Street Crimes Unit. I'm also assigned to the SWAT unit. We have an office with right now about 16 officers located in the Doyle Thomas Park. We have 2 shifts. We not only work the old West End area, but we work the whole city. Our street crimes unit, we hit the hot spots, and we try to address crime that affects quality of life issues for the neighborhood. I've been around a long time, and I feel like I'm kind of an adjunct member of the old West End District because I spend a lot of time here. 26 years I've worked in this area predominantly all my career. I've seen a lot of positive changes, and I want to thank all of y'all for coming out tonight, because we've got to have y'all for us to do our job. You know, we need input from citizens. We need contact. I need people to call me. You know, we need to know what's going on, because a lot of things happen that we don't see. We try to make people think like we're Santa Claus and we know everything, but it's not always the case. But we appreciate any input that we can get from the community. And, you know, being located in the old West End District, I feel like we're a neighbor, and we want to be a good neighbor, and we want to take care of our backyard. So this area has a special place in our hearts. So we try to keep things going as smoothly as possible. And like I say, from the early 90s up to today, some of you that have been here a while, you can really see the improvements. I mean, Jefferson Avenue is one of the areas that I think is really improved. It's a whole lot better than what it used to be.
A recent study by CZB, but they covered development plans and studied the housing market within the city of Danville. And a key point that they made was, yes, we have spent a lot of money in developing the River District, but they encouraged us to continue to do so. The River District is the heart of the community. It helps us with economic development. It helps us with recruitment, with attracting people to move back into the city or into the area. But they did say, as we need to continue to invest in the River District and continue to develop the River District, other areas of focus would be from the River District up to the hospital, including the housing and neighborhoods in between. So as the city continues to evaluate that study and put together plans of action, you'll see, we'll keep you up to date and informed on what those plans and what those development actions would be. Our office covers River District redevelopment, business recruitment, and business retention. We work in partnership with the Industrial Development Authority in order to acquire buildings, in order to stabilize them, find the right developer, the right end user, or sell them back to the private sector, but only if they are the right entity to take over that particular building. In 2011, we engaged consultants to take us through the River District development process. What did that look like? In this particular, in this particular report, they analyzed development, the current market trends. They came up with phase 1 and phase 2 of Catalyst projects that would really help launch this district and launch the region. This is phase 1 Catalyst projects that they encouraged us to actively seek private developers to come in, purchase, and redevelop. So in the corner you'll see the Dan River Research Building. Up beside of it would be 401 Bridge Street, which some of you might know as the R.J. Reynolds Building. Below that is the Pemberton Building along Bridge, and then the last is the Smith Seeds Building. We're happy to announce that 3 of the 4 have already been either developed or are in the process of being developed. So of course the Smith Seeds Building, this is a before picture, and of course this is after. It's now 20 market rate apartments that are 100% occupied and 2 commercial spaces, and 1 of the 2 commercial spaces is full. The next, of course, is the Pemberton Lofts down on Bridge Street. They're 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, 112 apartment units, which are 100% occupied, and 3 commercial spaces. Of course, you see they're doing a great job of saving these beautiful tobacco warehouses and converting them into mixed-use buildings. About a few years ago, we announced that local investors purchased the Dan River Research Building, and hopefully you'll see some movement on this pretty soon, but the plans are to convert this into a medical facility, and what a difference this particular building would make. This is the schematic of what it will look like afterwards, with a really neat glass tower on the side. The Danville Orthopedic Clinic will locate to the upper 2 floors. The hospital has signed a lease for the 2nd floor to locate their residency training program and some offices to that location. And then the 1st floor will house retail and offices. Phase 2 of the Catalyst projects would be the Masonic Temple, the Main Street Post Office, the Imperial Warehouse along Craighead Street, and the Belk Building along Main Street. These are all very large buildings, so finding an end user, finding the right end use for these buildings is a task, and thankfully we've seen movement on several of these buildings already. As you may have heard, the Danville Regional Foundation recently partnered with developers out of Durham, North Carolina, and created Watershed Ventures. They've committed $10 million into the community in purchasing those really large buildings, or the buildings that have not turned over as quickly as the others, in order to stabilize them, come up with a master plan of how to redevelop them, and then either develop them themselves or partner with another development agency to do so. The first 2 that they purchased, the Imperial Warehouse and the Belk Building along Main Street. Additional phase 2 Catalyst projects, of course, the White Mill, the fire station on Bridge Street, the old utilities building along Bridge Street, and the 300 block of Main. In addition to projects that we needed to partner with the private sector on, there were public improvements that they recommended to take place. what is a downtown area? It's a walkable community. It's one where people would like to live, work, and socialize in. And so they recommended a number of improvements, so sidewalks, plazas, fountains, uncovering a creek that's where the new fire station is on Lynn Street, and even proposed a riverfront park, which we're in the process, or beginning the process of evaluating. So just to give you a brief reminder of what Main Street used to look like, this was a before picture. This is a schematic from our consultants, and now it's very true to the schematic. It's beautiful, and I know several people here are to thank for the beautiful brickwork along Main Street. We added benches, new flower beds. Y'all were speaking about trees earlier. There was a special tree that was brought in that's a hybrid between, I don't know, but it's supposed to go up and out so that you can see windows and the storefronts. We also made sure to improve all of the utilities while we were improving the sidewalks. So all of the electric, gas, water, wastewater, and even fiber optics are now upgraded along the street. One major project was down at the Main Street Plaza. Of course, if you remember, Main Street ran right in front of Lee's Antiques and what was Jake's on Main. And we were able to cap that off because people sped like crazy in that area. And so we're able to cap that off and create a place where the community can come and enjoy each other and enjoy events. This is a schematic of what they did. The consultant said we needed one unique focal point, something that would draw people in. And of course, the JTI fountain was that particular focal point. We were fortunate to receive $465,000 from JTI in order to construct this fountain. It's a lot more expensive than people realize. This is a rendering of what the fountain would look like. And of course, this is what it looks like now. And we also made improvements to our Main Street trailhead. New traffic pattern, because of the new, the closed diagonal, we were able to change the traffic patterns along Patton Street. And now if you go across the MLK Bridge north up to North Main, so if you want to go and check out the Thai restaurant or the 616 up along North Main Street, you'll notice there's construction work. We are blocking or eliminating one lane of traffic in order to extend the Riverwalk Trail from the south banks of the river over to the north, so you can get on the trail and walk all the way over to the Y if you so desire. And this is the construction crew is pouring the cement a couple of weeks ago. And in the pipeline would be, since there is a trailhead and the Riverwalk Trail is well attended and heavily used, we are adding a public restroom to the plaza. And whenever you think of public restroom, you probably shake your head and say, why would they do this? This is going to be a beautiful restroom that is similar to the architecture of the tobacco warehouse district. And of course, you'll see improvements along Craighead Street. We are starting our streetscape improvements along Craighead Street. We're updating our stormwater, and hopefully beginning of next year, we'll start improving the sidewalks. We have future plans for the North Union Street as well. That's a main corridor into the River District. Very similar to the OWE, we have design guidelines. So if we want to make sure that we retain and maintain the historic integrity of the district. And so very similar, if you make an exterior change to a building, you go through the River District Design Guidelines Commission. And of course, a parking study was created. With the growing number of businesses in the district and residents in the district, parking will become an issue. And so we hired consultants to evaluate those issues and determine where structures or lots should go. And the first would be the recommendation for a parking facility on the corner of North Union and Main Street. Of course, this is conceptual. We do not have funding for this right now. Hopefully, as we grow, we have these schematics in place to where once it's necessary to start constructing such a structure, we have all of the our ducks in a row. And of course, we went through a new rebranding that launched this past May for the River District with the phrase "Reimagine That." And these are examples of things that were implemented as part of that branding celebration. So new gateway signage, new banners, We'll soon install new wayfinding signage, so pedestrian and vehicular traffic signage. The blue actually would be implemented throughout the city, and the green would be specific to the River District. And of course, we wanted to take something that was very ugly and an eyesore and make it cool. And so we are looking at various artistic lighting projects around the River District, the first being the substation along Bridge Street. So if you go there at nighttime, it's actually pretty cool to look at. And with all that being said, we've invested about $30 million, or a little over $30 million from the public sector into renovations in this particular area. But we're thrilled with the return of investment from the private sector. We've seen over $100 million of private funds being piped into this particular area. This not only helps the River District, but this helps the community and the region as a whole. It really helps us with the recruitment of businesses. Everyone wants to come down and check out the fountain and walk along Bridge Street. It's really something that's a draw for the area. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Tyler.
From a strategic standpoint, when we look at cities across America, and even some internationally, that are strong, vibrant cities, we find a common denominator. One of those is a very strong downtown area. That is not a coincidence. That center part of the city, a lot of folks will wonder why we're concentrating so much on the River District and why we're putting so much effort. A couple things. The infrastructure in those areas are some of the oldest in the city. They're not going away, and so the amount of money that it requires to maintain them, you have two choices. You can continue to pour money into them to just keep them operating, or you can choose to really invest and then to make that particular area of town an economic driver for the community. So the investments that have been made long term, and we're starting to see that now, then become an economic driver, and they create revenue for us to then expand and invest in other parts of the city. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the industrial recruitment and larger economic development projects throughout the city. While they don't affect the OWE directly, indirectly they do, because many of the industries that we're attempting to attract, folks will want to live in places like the OWE. It's very much a community of choice for a lot of people who come to this community, whether they're tourists and just want to drive through and see the beautiful homes, or whether they're looking for a place to live, raise a family. Often this is a place that we drive people through and we tell people about. Just reminding everybody, of course, our largest employer is still Goodyear. They have over 2,000 employees at their Danville location, and they manufacture aircraft and truck tires here. IKEA, formerly Swedwood, located just outside the city, is located in Cane Creek Center, which is a jointly owned industrial park by the city and the county. They have approximately 400 employees and are planning growth as well as IKEA expands their number of stores in the U.S. They're planning to double their revenue projections by the year 2021. And so you'll see a lot of growth, particularly with IKEA suppliers throughout the U.S. And I think that bodes well for the city of Danville. EBI is another IKEA supplier that manufactures upholstered furniture, sofas, mattresses, and that sort of thing. They actually, this number is a little low now. They're over 400 employees as well, and are planning some growth. Axor is the third IKEA supplier that we have in town. Another one-based company that produces the honeycomb material that's used in a lot of the IKEA furniture. If you've been to an IKEA store, you know how lightweight that furniture is. It's one of the ways that they keep it that way. Telvisa, which had an announcement of about 300 new jobs earlier in 2015, is a Mexican-owned call center, inbound call center. They provide technical support, sales, and customer service for quite a few clients that they can't publicly announce who those clients are, but very well-known household names. Nestle, of course, one of our larger employers, approaching 600 employees. They're producing the Toll House cookie dough and the Buitoni pasta right here in Danville. So for those of you who consume those products, you are contributing to your local economy. Essel Propack, an Indian-owned manufacturing company that manufactures laminated and seamless tubing. Their largest customer is Procter & Gamble, so a lot of the shampoos, toothpaste, lotions, those cosmetic products are, the packaging is manufactured right here in Danville as well. JTI Leaf Services, Japanese Tobacco International that Corey mentioned, made a substantial donation to help construct the fountain. They are one of our larger employers as well, and very much a staple of the history in this community with tobacco. Canadian-owned Intertape Polymer sits right on the border of the city-county line. They are a Canadian company that manufactures sealing tape, stretch film, and other products here, and they have approximately 280 employees. CBN Secure Technologies is a subsidiary of Canadian Banknotes. What a lot of folks don't realize, they're a very secure facility, very private in what they do, but they do manufacture driver's licenses for the state of Virginia, right here in Danville. They also do that for the state of New York and for Wisconsin as well. Some of the target industries, where are we focusing our attention on? There are a number of those. One particularly is the history of this area. Because we've been rooted and the culture is very much one of manufacturing, we use that to our advantage to recruit industries. One of those areas of advanced manufacturing is in the aerospace and automotive industry, particularly tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. And I know some folks say, well, why? Why would we do that? Danville Community College has a robust machining program in the area of precision machining, metrology. There's also a high school program at Career Tech, at the Pennsylvania County Career Tech program right there in Chatham. And then there's also the new Gene Haas Center at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. All these institutions work together to form a workforce solution geared toward providing students with certificates in precision machining, metrology. Those industries are underserved nationally, actually globally they're underserved. And the thought process is that if we can create a robust pipeline of qualified industry professionals with those certifications, we're more attractive to industries that would be in the supplier manufacturers for aerospace, automotive, and healthcare industries. We're actually looking currently to replicate a similar program at GW High School that's in Pennsylvania County. Our second target market is plastics and polymers, and I'll get into each one of these individually just briefly in a second. Our third target industries are food and beverage, manufacturing, fourth biosciences, and then fifth IT, which includes data centers, software, hardware development companies, and billing and data entry firms as well. Okay. I talked a little bit about the training model for the precision machining and metrology programs. This just tells you a little bit about the number of students enrolled in Pennsylvania County Career Tech and Danville Community College, and then at the Gene Haas Center. So far, the students who have come out of those programs generally make between $19 and $24 an hour starting out, and so far they've had close to 100% placement. Many of the students that come out of these programs have competing job offers before they even finish the program. And once again, that's relevant because those are the types of jobs that we think will help raise the entire Danville economy. Our second focus, plastics and polymers. This stems from a lot of the research that's going on at IALR, the Institute. Plastics are formed from feedstocks such as plants and trees that can be harvested in this region. They are at the Institute collaboratively working with private manufacturers engaged in the manufacture of renewable plastics. So when you think about what tires are made of, I mean, a rubber is in the polymer family. So it's a natural target industry for us. And with the research they're doing at the Institute, partnered with Virginia Tech, we think there's potential there in that market as well. We talked about food and beverage industries being a target area for us. We're particularly attractive because we have quite excess capacity in the area of water and wastewater. And I'll talk about one of the newer companies here in Danville. You can change that. Sky Valley Foods, which was announced last year, is a firm that a food processing manufacturer that manufactures sauces, dressings, and flavored beverages. They're typically found in Whole Foods, higher end grocery items. We are trying to convince them to use their relationships with those grocers to help us attract one of those to Danville. We do hear you. All right. One of the other areas that we like to claim as an asset is our infrastructure, one being broadband. A few years back, the Mid-Atlantic Broadband Cooperative was formed to help bring high-speed broadband access and fiber to Southern Virginia. The city of Danville took it a step further to create the In-Danville network and provide that access to all of our industrial parks, many of our schools, and even some of our residential neighborhoods as well. That was instrumental in helping us attract a company located on Bridge Street called Noblis Center for Applied High Performance Computing. They are using a Cray XMT supercomputer to do everything from assist the federal government with Medicare and Medicaid fraud. They're doing genomic sequencing. They're working with some other institutions that are looking into how do we use that for both humans and for plants and food as well. When we market Danville to industries, we usually highlight a few things. We highlight an 18% lower cost of living in manufacturing than the national average. We tout the legacy and the appreciation for manufacturing here. There are a lot of places who can't say that they have that history and legacy and that pride for actually making something in their hometown. We market the fact that we have shovel-ready sites that are available. This is a big deal in the economic development world because if we have industrial parks that are filled with trees, the time it takes for them to be forested, for the ground to be broken, for you to install utilities, for a building to be built, most industries are not willing to wait that long. So the purpose of having what we call shovel-ready sites is so that when an industry decides that they're interested in your area, we can get them from groundbreaking to operating as quickly as possible. And then lastly, we advertise the extraordinary workforce solution in high precision machining that I mentioned earlier. It's been validated by private industry professionals as one of a kind. There are very few in the world quite like what we have here. And so we've put together a marketing strategy on how we approach those entities that are most likely using this technology in their manufacturing plants. And we geographically focus in areas where we have a competitive advantage based on the cost of doing business. So the Northeast, the West Coast, and Europe as well.